Imagine checking into a hotel late at night after a long day of travel. You walk into your room, close the door behind you, lock it from the inside, and that is the last time anyone ever sees you. No signs of struggle, no broken windows, no forced entry, just an empty room and a mystery that investigators still cannot explain. Because what happened inside that hotel room should have been impossible. And yet, when the hotel staff opened the door the next morning, the man who had checked in the night before had completely vanished. This strange disappearance began on what seemed like a completely ordinary evening. The hotel itself was nothing special. It wasn't a luxury resort or a famous landmark. It was simply a quiet mid-range hotel located in a business district where travelers would stay for a night or two before continuing their journeys. People came and went every day. Business travelers, tourists, conference attendees, nothing unusual ever seemed to happen there. But on that particular night, something did. At approximately 10:03 p.m., a man walked through the front doors of the hotel. Security cameras captured everything. He appeared to be in his mid-30s, dressed casually, carrying a small black suitcase in one hand. At first glance, there was nothing about him that seemed suspicious. He walked calmly to the front desk. The receptionist later described him as polite but slightly nervous. Not frightened exactly, just distracted. During the brief check-in process, she noticed that he kept glancing over his shoulder toward the entrance of the hotel lobby, almost as if he expected someone to walk through the door behind him. When she asked if everything was okay, the man reportedly smiled and said he was simply tired from traveling. He asked for a room for one night, nothing more. He paid in cash. Within a few minutes, the receptionist handed him the key to room 307, a standard room located on the third floor. The security footage shows the man walking toward the elevator, suitcase in hand. But investigators reviewing the footage later noticed something strange. As he walked toward the elevator, he stopped briefly and looked back toward the lobby entrance again. Not casually, but carefully, slowly, like someone trying to make sure they weren't being followed. Moments later, the elevator doors opened and he stepped inside. That elevator ride would be the last time any camera clearly recorded him. When the elevator reached the third floor, another camera captured him stepping out into the hallway. The corridor was quiet, dimly lit, completely empty. He walked down the hall, stopped in front of room 307, inserted the key, and entered the room at exactly 10:17 p.m. The door closed behind him, and from that moment forward, things become difficult to explain. Inside the room, everything initially appeared perfectly normal. Later reports from investigators described the room as neat and undisturbed. The bed had not been slept in. The bathroom towels were still folded. The television was off. For several hours, nothing seemed unusual, but sometime during the night, something happened. Something no camera captured, something no witness saw, and by morning, the man was gone. At approximately 9:05 a.m. a following morning, a housekeeper knocked on the door of room 307. She waited. There was no response. This wasn't unusual. Guests often checked out early or left before housekeeping arrived. But when she tried to open the door using the service key, she encountered a problem. The door only opened a few inches. Something was blocking it from the inside. When she pushed again, she realized what it was. The chain lock was still attached. That immediately raised concern. Chain locks can only be fastened from inside the room, which meant someone should still be inside. Hotel management was called to the room. After forcing the chain open, staff entered, and what they found made absolutely no sense. The room was empty, completely empty. The man's suitcase was sitting near the desk. His wallet was placed neatly on the nightstand. His phone was still plugged into a charger next to the bed. Even more confusing, the bed had never been slept in. It looked exactly the same as it had when housekeeping prepared the room earlier that evening. The bathroom was checked? Nothing. The closet was opened? Empty. The windows were inspected. All of them were locked from the inside. There were no balconies, no fire escapes, no access points. It was as if the man had simply disappeared. Naturally, the police were called immediately. At first, investigators believed the explanation would be simple. Perhaps the man had quietly left during the night. Maybe the hotel staff had overlooked something. But when detectives began reviewing the security footage, the mystery only deepened. Every camera inside the hotel was analyzed. The lobby cameras, the elevators, the stairwells, the hallways. But the man never appeared again, not once. There was no footage of him leaving the building, no footage of him entering the stairwell, no footage of anyone visiting room 307 during the night. In fact, according to the cameras, no one even walked down that hallway after he entered the room. Detectives began searching the building itself. Maintenance crews inspected the plumbing system. Engineers examined the walls. Ceiling panels were removed. Air ducts were checked. The possibility of secret passages was considered, but the building plans revealed nothing unusual. There were no hidden exits, no structural spaces large enough for someone to crawl through.
The hotel simply wasn't designed in a way that would allow a person to disappear. And yet, that's exactly what had happened. The case soon became what investigators call a locked room mystery, one of the rarest and most difficult types of cases to solve. Because by definition, the circumstances suggest that escape should have been impossible. But one detail from the security footage continued to trouble detectives. The way the man kept looking behind him in the lobby. It suggested something important. He may have believed someone was following him. Investigators began reviewing the footage again, frame by frame, looking for anyone who might have entered the hotel around the same time. But no suspicious individuals appeared. No one seemed to be watching him. Still, that uneasy behavior remained unexplained. And then investigators discovered something else, something even stranger. When they examined the man's phone records, they found that just minutes before entering the hotel, he had sent a text message. The message contained only 3 words. "They found me." That message raised even more questions. Who had found him? Why did he sound afraid?
And if someone really had found him, where were they? Because according to every camera in that hotel, no one ever entered room 307 after he did. Years later, the mystery remains unsolved. The hotel eventually reopened the room. Guests continued staying there. Nothing unusual was ever reported again. But the disappearance inside room 307 remains one of those rare cases that defy explanation. A man walked into a hotel room, locked the door from the inside, left his belongings behind, and then vanished without a trace.